Good afternoon. So used to saying good evening. Welcome to this special edition of Urban Facts. Today we will be talking about affirmative action and its overturning. How the decision affects a lot of African Americans in America and the black community in general. So let's get started. So, for us to know what we're talking about, let's just look at the definition of affirmative action. Affirmative action is defined as a set of procedures designed to eliminate unlawful discrimination among applicants, remedy the results of such prior discrimination, and prevent discrimination in the future. That's what was supposed to happen. Affirmative action originally came about after Dr. King was assassinated. You know, the black community went in uproar, and President Johnson at the time decided that, well, the reason why they went in uproar is because they felt as though that, they didn't feel like they were part of the community, like they were isolated, like they, on their own island, if you want to say. The reason for that is because, well, for one, they was black, and then for two, discrimination was rampant at the time. So, and that was about probably like, I think Dr. King was assassinated. Let me see here. I can't remember the dates. Let's see. $1968. Excuse me. So after that, like I said, the Supreme Court ruled it proper that affirmative action should take place. So fast forward to present time, we had an election in 2016. And I know the candidates wasn't all that interesting, but we had to choose between somebody. Excuse me. So you either chose Hillary or you chose Donald. I know for me, given the choices that we had, I wasn't really too particular about voting for either one because Hillary had some racism attached to her name, and Donald Trump, well, his name just speaks for itself. So, but this is what happened also in that year. Unfortunately, the black voter turnout rate declined for the first time in 20 years in the presidential election, falling to 59.6% in 2016 after reaching a record high of 66.6% in 2012. So you guys didn't even come out to vote for Barack. Now the result of that caused this to happen. Hold on. I got to get my little stuff together. So, because you didn't vote, bam, he won. President Trump, 2016, 2020, he's going down as the greatest something in American history. So anyway, he became president. So with President Trump being the president, something else happened. Bam! These are his Supreme Court picks. So these are conservative judges that President Trump put into the Supreme Court. See, the Honorable, well, let me just say, Judge Gorish. I can't really see that name. Let me make it a little bigger so I can read that. Oh, there you go. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett. These are Trump's Supreme Court picks for the Supreme Court, thus giving the Supreme Court a conservative majority, and things like affirmative action and abortion for women are out the window. Because who wants to do that stuff, huh? So conservative is it's a term that means you get rid of affirmative, modern excuse me, modern things to happen, like modern rulings, traditions, and you want to stay with the older traditions. So apparently the older traditions for conservative might be a tad bit racist, but who am I to say? So let's just see what else is affected by the affirmative action overruling, shall we? Let's see. So let me just tell you where it first appeared. Now the ruling, affirmative action period wasn't yet a ruling. First appeared in its current form in President Kennedy's executive order 10,925. That's in 1961. The contractor will take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and that employees are treated during employment without regard to their race, creed, or national origin. So that's what Mr. Kennedy said. Let's see here, because I actually forgot something. Here we go. All right, so now Judge Roberts, he's the lead judge in the Supreme Court. In his 40-page opinion, Roberts said Harvard and UNC engaged in racial stereotyping and lacked clear objectives as well as endpoint for their practices. We have never permitted admissions programs to work in that way, and we will not do so today, he said. Well, clearly, Judge Roberts, you must have forgot what President Kennedy said and President Johnson said, because he kind of said the reverse of what you're saying, which is that people of color, and don't forget, we were slaves at one time. So to just put us at the finish line or the starting line with other people who already feel like they're superior to us, and then say, go and have a wonderful life after slavery is ended, doesn't quite work that way. So we kind of need like rules and techniques and a certain skill set of people who have some morale and integrity that care about the lives of other folks, not just European Americans. So apparently We need affirmative action. Yes, black people. So let's get back to our little story here. So we got Trump won. We got poor black turnout for 2016. And we got, bam, this thing right here. Now, this right here is really going to suck. And this really is not a joke, regardless of my facial expression. So, the decline or the overturning of affirmative action has done away with this. And Brown versus the Board of Education, 374 U.S. 483, 1954, a ruling stated that public schools may not exclude minority students from white schools by sending the minority students to a school that separately services minority students. This decision acted as a precursor to many of the education-based affirmative action cases in the Supreme Court, which followed in later years. So, this is very serious. It really is. I can't tell you the magnitude of what has just happened. Schools such as Harvard, Yale, West Point, Dartmouth, it will have a dramatic turn in regards to people of colors, applications. It ain't just black. You gotta look at Indian and Hispanic, whoever conservatives, I think that's the new word for racist, don't like. So, with all that being said, I guess the question now would be, what do we do? What do we do now to ensure that with these rules that have taken place, that our children can get into colleges, forms of higher education? Now, there is the one option of HBCUs. You can have your child, enroll in HBCUs. Now, however, a lot of scholarships and grants for HBCUs are limited, due to funding. But that's not a discouragement to not apply. I'm just letting you know, like, what's happening. Another thing is to go inside with the cost for the HBCUs. You start planning for college ahead of time, like as soon as you have a baby. So when you have a baby, you can do the Gerber plan, and I think it's the 529. Yeah, 529. It's some type of savings fund that some banks offer. A lot of banks offer funds for college tuition, and I would just encourage you guys to start on that very early, so it won't be an issue. As far as the ruling, it's going to be here for a while. So it's Supreme Court justices don't normally die off, and it's so sad to say that we got to wait for these people to die until they're like in their 80s. Some of them might be close to that, but it's not like it's going to be next week. So that's why it's important to vote. But you have to know, besides the candidate, you have to know the ramifications of the person that you're voting for. So just because you didn't vote for Trump, that didn't mean that took away a vote from Trump. It actually took away a vote for Hillary because it wasn't more people in favor of her. Now, she won the popular vote, as you can see. Let's go back to the picture here. Let's see here. So Hillary won the popular vote, and I can't see that. I'm not sure if you can. So she won the popular vote by, I think you could say 1,000, no, 125,700. So she won by that much as far as the popular vote. But however, the system called the Electoral College, it boosted Trump's chances of winning, and that's how he became the president. But the Electoral College, how that works is that the party in the states that have that have why am I stuttering? That have the most electoral votes, like Pennsylvania, Florida, what's another one? I think it's like Nevada or something like. No, Nevada is a small one. But anyway, the largest states that have the most electoral votes, when that state wins, then that candidate, it gets the Electoral College votes. But however, being as though blacks had a small turnout in 2016, that didn't happen in a lot of states. Now, I'm not blaming this on blacks. I'm just blaming this on the ignorance of voting in the black community. Now, when I say ignorance, I'm just saying that you don't know the importance, or some people didn't know the importance of voting. I'm not calling the person ignorant. Excuse me. So with some people not voting, it affected, the turnout. And like I said, the states that had the most electoral votes, it didn't go to Hillary, it went to Trump. So that's how we are where we're at now from a simple election. Elections can affect the lives of many people. Now, that's only if the people in that community are aware of what's going on. If you have no idea what affirmative action is, then you are already lost, because it's something that affects you and I as an African American. So you might say, well, my kid not going to college, and he going to just get his little high school diploma and go about his way or whatever like that. Come on, let's be serious. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people that don't have college degrees and have just settled to having a high school diploma. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you can't be successful without a college degree. What I'm saying is you have a higher probability of success happening with that college degree. But now it's even harder. It could be harder for African American kids to get into prestigious white universities. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every college is going to turn away black kids. Every white college. Well, college is not an HBC. It's going to turn away black kids. However, it's the colleges that have inklings of discrimination inside of their campuses that will. So now the college selection for students, regardless if they say it's racist or not, I believe it's still going to be discriminatory. Because here's the thing, a lot of black kids don't apply for college. This is like I just now said, a lot of blacks in the community don't even know what affirmative action is. So to them, it's like, this ain't affecting us. I got a good job. I work at Walmart. I'm the manager there. Or I work at TD Bank. Like I'm the branch manager. Or now here's the thing with that. You might be the branch manager. And if you only got a high school diploma, I can tell you right now what your salary probably is. You probably ain't bringing home no more than probably what, $600 to $700 a week. And then depending on how long you been there, that's going to depend on how much more money you possibly can get. Now with a degree, and you still a branch manager, that income is going to go up. It's going to go up, because of the degree. And then it's going to increase even more with the promotions and, the raises in salary. And then the degree, it gives you more of the propensity to having a career opposed to an hourly rate job. So a job and a career are two different things. I'm not talking about the definition, but if you got a job, if you work in an hourly rate, then you normally just got a job. If you have a career where you got a salary, then like I said, that's a career. But all this only happens if you pursue higher education. But now let's go back to how this can happen with this ruling of affirmative action. We have to be serious in regards to the academic progress of our children from birth. Like as soon as they come out, even before that, you can like read books to the baby and stuff like that. You know what I mean? To ensure that these children are going to have the potential to have a successful academic future. And that's going to require good parenting. Yeah, here comes parenting again. So you got to do that. Because if you don't, then there's no real way of telling which way your child's destiny could go, their future. It has, for some of y'all, for some people out here watching and around the world, the city of Philadelphia, they're not really concerned with the direction of their child's academic future because it's not a big issue, So it's just like, hey, as long as you got this high school diploma, then you're fine. But let's also look at something else in regards to affirmative action. Now, remember I said, hey, I'm the manager at Walmart, or I'm the manager at TD Bank, and, you just got the high school diploma or you got the college degree. With the practices of affirmative action and the reversing of it from colleges, employers may say, well, hey, we don't have to do this either. We don't have to have a certain amount of blacks at our establishment. We can just hire who we want to, based off of our own picking. You know what I mean? So the job that you thought once your kid would be successful at is now at risk due to the overturning of affirmative action. Well, that's if they don't, if they don't, well, I can't say that because even if they do pursue a college degree, the job can still be at risk due to the overturning of affirmative action. So I know you might say, well, why even let our children go to school? Because you got a higher chance of getting in that job because you got the degree. Before affirmative action was turned over, Joe Schmo with the high school diploma, who happened to have been black, had an opportunity of being the manager at Staples because of affirmative action. Now, that possibility could be out the window, if they, they make a fuss in an employment sector. But definitely with colleges, it's gone. So if the colleges feel as though that we only need 1% of blacks in our university, and your kid meets 1.1, makes it 1.1, then your kid ain't getting it. That's just how that goes. So your kid has to be extraordinary. Because now what America has said is that we're not just letting you in because you're black. You got to prove that you belong. and for blacks to prove that they belong in America hasn't been the greatest success story, along with police brutality and discriminating acts like the overturning of affirmative action. It might not be so promising. So you have to be the cheerleader and a forerunner for your children's education and their future. You know what I mean? Your child has to be exceptional and not just average, and certainly not mediocre. We had Dr. Evans, Tamika Evans, on here Thursday just passed. And she said her and her husband do not accept mediocre. And neither should you. I don't care if I said she was Dr. whoever. It don't matter. You can be the fry cook at McDonald's and still have the same standards, or the cashier at Acme, or the Uber driver. I'm an Uber driver. And still have the same standards. That's all right. But you gotta have standards. This is very serious. Because what's going to happen is the incarceration rate is going to increase. You want to know why? Because these kids are not going to even try to apply for college because of the unlikelihood that they can't get in. And the unlikelihood of them not being able to get in is going to come from their friends. And so kids have a real strong connection to their peer group. And if you have a real strong connection to your peer group, then a relationship between the parents has to be stronger because it has to overpower the influence of the peer group. So if the peer group says, well, while I go to college, we can just be out here on this corner and flip a couple of these packs and we can live like that, then that might be promising. We got to really invest in our kids, and it's getting harder. It's really getting harder. For our organization, the Ethel Lee Zachary Foundation, this is going to be a hard task, but we're going to persevere. I ain't going to lie. It affected me greatly, but I'm not going to give up. Excuse me, because I can't give up. These kids need people like myself to have their back. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm telling you as parents, and if you hear my voice, you have to invest in your kids. If you don't know how to do that, or even if you got like a small inkling, like I might be already a parent, then look it up. It's 4 different types of parenting. See which one you fit in. Authoritative, authoritarian, passive, and neglectful. See which one of them you are. And it's attachment levels. See which attachment level is best. Like the secure attachment is the best attachment that you can have with your child from birth. So you don't have good attachment with your child from birth to age 5, probably a little earlier than that, depending on how bad your attachment is. Your child can have bad relationship issues and, definitely lose hope and having any kind of promising anything. They won't even attempt to complete Super Mario Brothers and kill Bowser at the end because they don't have no hope. And I've seen that happen. I've seen kids, as I was a child, just give up playing a video game because they don't think that they can pass it. They don't think when they get to the boss level that, hey, there's no way in the world I can beat this dude. Like Mike Tyson Punch-Out. Kids that had hope was like, I'm about to kick Mike's behind. Kids that didn't have hope was like, I'm not even about to try to get to Mike Tyson because I know I can't beat him. That's what attachment issues does. I'm not talking about a video game. I'm talking about hope. Don't nobody care if your kid can beat Mike Tyson or not. What I do care about is the fact that they think that they can beat him. That's called hope. So we got to do better with this. And this is affecting, like I said, it's going to affect everybody. My kids, your kids, the Evans kids, Hutchinson's kids. Any kid that's black. If you look like me or Mike back there or any of them little kids on the wall behind me, then it affects you. But you have to be careful in regards to elections, what's going on in society. Like, come on, get your head out. Some people got their head in the clouds and they don't know what's going on. Get your head out the clouds. Everything ain't about brand new sneaks and $500 shirts and girl, I gotta get my hair done to go to this party and all the little norms of society. I gotta make sure my kid got the latest iPhone, and they'll let you have all that because that don't matter. You can have all that stuff, a Range Rover. Some people got Range Rovers pulling in the projects. This is serious. And a lot of people are so, a lot of people that I talk to, the number one reason why they don't want to go to college is because they was an average high school student. That's just the number one reason for me. I don't know if that's, a statistic across the United States. But even now, if you feel as though you're an average student in high school and you already feel like, you're not going to make it, and you understand that child understands the process of affirmative action, then they're not even going to try to apply for high school. Let's say that they're not going to take me anyway, so why would I apply? And then it's even worse if that child has attachment issues, bad attachment issues. Disorganized attachment is the worst type of attachment you can have. And that means that your parent really wasn't paying you no mind as a kid. You're probably in the best of that, crying all day, and the parent was just like, shut up, all that crying, and you're an infant. Like, what the heck you supposed to know what to do? But if that was you as a child, then you might have attachment issues. You might have discouragement in regards to hope. So you're not going to apply to college. You're not even going to apply to trade school. And I don't even know if trade schools are affected by this decision. Well, no, not really, because it's just a trade school, I guess. Like, not really sure. It said any school, well, according to Brown versus the Board of Education, trade schools is affected because that's now out the window. So the little girl that, they fought for and, protested in the NAACP, tried to make sure that she can get into the school that she was trying to get into and all that, that situation, that all went down the drain. I'm not saying it's our fault. Trust me, I'm not. What I am saying is when you have the opportunity to be part of a democracy, take it. Like I said, 2016 wasn't the best options for president. Because I wasn't going to vote. Thank God for a girl named Sophia, because I wouldn't have voted. These wasn't two highly popular candidates. They both had dirt on their record. But you had to choose between the less dirty. And that didn't happen. So now, because that didn't happen, parents that want to send their kids to, schools like Haverford for the School of Boys or Friends or what's that? It's another one, school down there in Germantown. I can't remember the name of it. It's going to be harder for those kids to get in. Now, you might say, well, that ain't my responsibility because they kids didn't get in. Oh, well, yes, it is. It's a village. We're a black community, not a black individualism. Not black individuals. I mean, we are individuals, but as a community, we should make things count, make things happen, make it effective. So it's very disheartening what happened. Truly, I didn't know the ramifications because I read the announcement wrong um on a tweet, but it's very serious, so, and even if you don't want your child to go to elite high schools and middle schools, still please ensure that they are academically sound, that their academics is strong. Because just because they might not want to go to college right after high school, they might run into somebody like me, or they might watch a movie, or somebody on the sub might say, hey, college is what it is, and it might give them an inkling to go. But if they poor academically, it's going to be a struggle. And now it's even harder now because it could be a possibility that they may not be picked because they're black. So you guys may be tired of me talking about parenting, but in this situation, parenting is going to be very important. If you are a horrible parent, if you're neglectful, then the chances of your kid getting into a good school is going to be very low. Now, here's the other thing with this. If you're a great parent, chances may be just a little bit higher than the kids is very low. But I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that just a little bit higher than the kids is very low. So I just wanted to give you guys this information. For some of y'all, this may be a sad or dark day. It's not. It's just a mistake that has to be corrected. And as a community, we have to be more unified and encouraging and empowering so we can get to the next level. So thank you again for tuning in. The ones that did, I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. Have a good afternoon.